If you have more gear than outputs available for your single JLC Synapse to route, you have two concerns that need to be addressed. First, you perhaps have a gas problem. Gear acquisition syndrome is real and has no known cure, but it's also beyond the scope of this video, so consult a professional. For the MIDI gear that you currently own that needs integration into your Synapse setup, the solution is simple. This standard IDC ribbon cable is about to change your studio and further exacerbate your gas. For about $5, you can pick up a standard IDC 26-pin ribbon cable online or at a local computer shop if one still exists near you. The back of every Synapse has an expansion bus port that accommodates the IDC ribbon cable, and there's no rocket science here. JLC support bolstered my suspicion about the magical Synapse expansion bus interconnection, probably just a pin-for-pin contact between machines. But it is important to be sure the interconnection stays a pin-to-pin hookup. Both ends of the ribbon cable have a female connector with a tab on one side. The bus port has a tight fit, and the tab on the cable seems to fit comfortably when facing upward. According to J.L. Cooper, a theoretical dozen synapses can be linked together to provide 240 outputs for MIDI input to synthesizers, effects, etc. But still, only 16 Synapse inputs apply to all coupled units. The tab on the connector is facing upward when inserted into the first Synapse and can be pressed into place with a finger or two once the pins are lined up with the cable head. Again, the tab on the other end of the cable is also facing upward to ensure a pin-to-pin interconnection between the two synapses. Once they're secure, it's time to test out the expanded MIDI routing capabilities. Now this routing system will be a 16 input by 40 output patch bay. For labeling workflow and my amusement, I call the top synapse with all 16 inputs Curly. The expansion synapse underneath is Shemp. For this demo, Curly is accepting a Roland MC80 sequencer at input 1. The Kawai K3 keyboard will be my controller here at input 3. The additional synapse labeled Shemp is outputting to a Roland R8M drum module on output 8. The Audio Thingy's Micro Monster is on output 12, and the Waldorf Strikefet is on output 16. If you haven't seen my previous video about how inputs are routed to outputs on the Synapse, I highly recommend checking it out so this next part will be less confusing. Link in the description below. Before this gets going, I want to make it clear that there's no master-slave setting on either Synapse. There's no need to toggle a special mode on or off. But JLC warns about trying to utilize the inputs on both machines except in a special circumstance to take advantage of the 3 processors on each machine. We'll save that for another time, but my point here is that there's nothing besides cable hookup that's necessary for multiple synapses to unite as one massive MIDI router. Back to the demo. As always, a program needs to be selected to call up routing, and these are all customizable, but I'll choose 55 on the top synapse, Curly, and 01 on the bottom, Shemp. I created and stored these programs with all routing assignments cleared out for a fresh, less confusing start. Tapping the mode button once enables inputs to be assigned to outputs. On the top router, Curly, the Kawai K3 keyboard on input 3 is routed to output 20 that sends controller data to the Roland MC80 sequencer for recording. On the linked router, Shemp, output 8 is assigned input 1, which is the Roland MC80 data throughput and playback. Remember, the MC80 sequencer is only connected to Curly, which is the top synapse. The MC80 has a terrific feature that allows incoming data to flow to its output while recording. In this scenario, the K3 sends the MC80 data to record, and that same data reaches the R8M drum module without delay. Here's what it looks like on the synapses. The R8M drum module is MIDI channel 10, as seen here on the MC80 track setup screen. Let's see if we can make some sound. Next is the Audio Thingy's Micro Monster, which receives MIDI channel 5, as shown here on the MC80 track setup screen. The Micro Monster is on output 12. It also gets flow-through commands from the MC80 as dictated by the K3 keyboard. And lastly, for the demo, the Waldorf StrikeFET receives MIDI channel 16 as shown by the MC80 track setup screen. The StrikeFET is on output 16. It also gets flow-through commands from the MC80 as initiated by the Kawai K3 keyboard. So there it is, a relatively short and simple overview and demo of an expanded JLC Synapse system. Going prices on Synapse routers are between $200 and $500 currently on eBay and Reverb, but no one, including JL Cooper, offers replacement EEPROMs for these 30-year-old machines. Eventually, EEPROM bit rot will make all of these devices useless since they are essentially routing computers run by software on a chip. If there are any entrepreneurial MIDI enthusiasts out there, Synapse EEPROM would be a moneymaker. Copy, make, and sell could be one strategy to make sure these classic MIDI patch bays survive through the rest of the century.